She's got help.
What's happening, folks? It's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and today's video, as promised, will be the upgrade guide for the Phyrexia All Will Be One Commander Precon Rebellion Rising. After going through the deck a little more thoroughly, I came to the conclusion that while somewhat beneficial, the secondary aspect of using some of the equipment that came in the box would take away from really honing in on that go wide with token strategy that I believe would make this deck both fun and hard to deal with. So, for this guide, I'll be keeping the commander as Naali, and then showing you about a dozen or so cards that I believe will help make this deck a little better, while also showing you what cards to remove for them as well. One quick reminder though first. I won't be giving mana-fixing land upgrades in individual guides anymore, but I will put a link in the video that will take you to my upgrade guide for the Forces of the Imperium Warhammer 40k Commander Precon, where I did a generalized overview of options that are available to upgrade these lands. Just simply go to the video, and I have that section marked and timestamped so you can easily skip to it. Now, with that out of the way, let's get started on the Rebellion Rising upgrades. I'll start by suggesting the non-basic land, Minas Tirith. This land is good for repeatable card draw in any deck with white in it that's a go-wide combat-based strategy. Anytime you can get repeatable card draw in white for doing what the deck wants to do anyway is a good upgrade in my opinion. I would remove Temple of the False God to make room for this. These colors don't ramp by putting lands into play, so you may have games where this is a dead card for too long of a time, so rather than hope it helps, just remove it so you don't have to worry about it. Next, I want to show you 7 creatures that are pure upgrades for this strategy. The deck was light on creatures right out of the box, and there are some good ones that can repeatedly help you create tokens, so let's take advantage of that. First up is Charismatic Conqueror. The Conqueror's ability to make tokens in a multiplayer game may actually be unmatched, especially if you end up playing another token-themed deck. You either get more tokens, or everyone else's creatures or artifacts enter play tapped, which could leave them open for incoming attacks. Either way, it's a win-win for you. Next up is Adeline Resplendent Cathar. Since this deck wants to attack as often as possible, Adeline's attack trigger should help you amass a small army all by itself. The fact that it only costs 3 mana to cast and has a sizable defense is just a nice bonus. The third creature that I'll suggest is Skyhunter Strike Force. The Strike Force is similar to Adriana Captain of the Sky, with its capability to give all of your creatures the melee ability, and since this deck wants to attack as many opponents as it can, why not double that ability up? Oh, and yes, they will stack on top of each other. Up fourth is Myrel, Shield of Argive. On top of its ability to create tokens for attacking, it's also a stack style piece during your turn. Myrel allows you the freedom to do whatever you want during your turn with barely any interaction from your opponents. The bonus for having Myrel in the deck is that it relies on the amount of soldiers you have in play, and luckily there were a few already in it to start, and even a lot of the token-making spells create soldier tokens. The next 2 creatures that I'm going to show you serve the same purpose. Mondrak Glory Dominus and Osier Tak Deepest Foundation. As you can read, both of these multiply the amount of tokens you create each time you create them. Mondrak doubles the amount, while Osier Tak triples them. With both out at the same time, the math just gets stupid. The last creature that I want to show you is Moonshaker Cavalry, which has been dubbed as White's version of a Craterhoof Behemoth. While not nearly as powerful as Craterhoof, Moonshaker can swing the tide of a game in your favor. While it doesn't give trample to ensure that damage will get through, the flying will ensure that at least some of that damage will get through. Now, with 7 creatures going in, we need 7 cards to come out, right? Here are what I suggest should come out based on the token strategy. Start with 1 mountain and 1 plains. Out of the box, we started with 38 lands, which I believe for a 2-color deck whose average cost to cast its spells is about 4 is just too many. Then, since I want to take the equipment subtheme out of the deck, we have 5 that we can take out easily. Those 5 are Mask of Memory, Glimmer Lens, Mace of the Valiant, Maul of the Skyclaves, and Kemba's Banner. There's nothing really wrong with any of them per se, but I see these equipment as more of Voltron-themed cards, and I really wanted to hone in on that go-wide strategy instead. Maybe someone like Brunner Battlehammer would appreciate them more. Moving on, there are 2 enchantments that are staples of token-based decks that you should absolutely add. First, from White's arsenal of token-friendly cards is Anointed Procession. We all know that green is the king of doubling tokens, but between the two token multiplying creatures I already suggested, and now this, white looks to be challenging that reign for sure. Yes, the procession has quite a hefty price tag, but WotC seems to be reprinting cards like this at a rapid rate lately, so hopefully this will get one and drop the price soon. To make room for it, I would swap out Jor-Kadeen the Prevailer. Since I already suggested to remove most of the artifact equipment cards anyway, and Jor-Kadeen was put in the deck to help aid that theme along, it is no longer really viable. It's still a good card, just not for this build anymore. I'm sure there are lots of homes for it in an equipment-based Boros deck somewhere though. The second enchantment I would definitely add is Impact Tremors. With all of those creatures entering the battlefield, Impact Tremors could end up single-handedly winning you some games. Having an alternate way to win besides combat is a must, and I honestly don't think there is a better card out there currently that can fill this role than the Tremors can. Players run all sorts of creature removal, but enchantment removal is more often overlooked, so it has more of a chance to survive than, say, a Witty Roastmaster does. I would remove the card Cut a Deal for this simply because I never want to give my opponents cards unless the theme of my deck revolves around doing so. While White's card drawing ability is lacking, this is certainly not the answer. That's what the Minas Tirith I suggested earlier is for. Now I want to show you one artifact that works extremely well with the token theme, Halo Fountain. I suggested this in the Forces of the Imperium upgrade guide I did about a month ago, and for good reason. All three of its abilities are great for this strategy. Creating more tokens is a plus, drawing cards repeatedly is a no-brainer, and having another way to win a game without being purely combat damage based is an absolute must. It just makes sense to add this card. To make room for the fountain, I would remove the Gold Warden's Gambit. Again, we removed a lot of the equipment-based strategy cards, and this card was another one that relied on that strategy, so with the removal of the equipment, this card becomes less viable and must go. And finally, the last thing I'll go over is an infinite combo for the deck. Usually I like to give combos that revolve around the commander itself, but I couldn't find one for Naoli. Instead, I'll give you one that involves two of the cards I've suggested as upgrades for this deck, Osier Tack and Impact Tremors. Simply adding Tooth and Claw will give you infinite token creation, enter the battlefield triggers, leaves the battlefield triggers, sacrifice triggers, and if Impact Tremors is out, infinite damage to each opponent. The best part is that this can all be done at instant speed, making it a hard one to deal with once assembled. If you can't see the combo, don't worry, I'll explain it to you. With at least Osier Tack, Tooth and Claw, and two fodder-like creatures on the board, simply sacrificing the two fodder creatures to Tooth and Claw will let you create one creature token, which in turn will trigger Osier Tack's replacement ability and give you 3 of those tokens instead. Simply sacrificing 2 of those new tokens that were just created back into Tooth and Claw will net you 1 extra creature token each time you do this. If you were to add Impact Tremors to this mix, you'll pretty much win the game on the spot. To make room for this awesome combo, I would swap out the Hate Mirage. Let's just be honest, for the same mana cost you can possibly create infinite tokens instead of just 2, and that seems like a pretty good reason to swap out the Hate Mirage if you ask me. And that, my friends, brings me to the end of my Phyrexia All Will Be One Rebellion Rising Commander Precon Upgrade Guide. Like I said in the unboxing, I believe this is one of the best decks WotC has made to date for anyone just starting out. It's simple enough to understand, but can be powerful enough to win a few games. I only mention winning games because one thing that can turn a new player to the game off from continuing to play is the frustration of feeling like you're never going to win. I feel that the Rebellion Rising deck is built well enough to possibly stop that from being an issue. So sadly, that's all I have for you this week, but please be sure to join me next week where I will be unboxing and upgrading the other Phyrexia All Will Be One Commander Precon Corrupting Influence. As always, thank you for watching. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up, and unless you decide to go watch some of my many other videos, I will see you all next week.